Hey everybody, it's Eric Taylor, BigEAstro Astrology. Welcome to Astrological Coffee Talk with Eric. And I got my tea. Today, we are talking about Uranus and Gemini for all 12 rising signs. The transit begins next Saturday, April 25th. It is going for 7 years, but really to 2034 in a sense, because it will go to Cancer, retrograde back and then go back in. So it will seem like it's like 7.5, 8 years, but it's, time wise will always be that 7 years. It takes 84 years to go through the zodiac. Okay. I'm gonna, let's see, keep an eye out over here, and we are gonna bring up this chart. It's a Scorpio rising, Leo moon, and Taurus sun. So I was like, oh my God, that's Melissa's chart. And I was just like, wow. So, but for me and Danny and Izzy and any of the Scorpio risings and Melissa, it's, here's the chart. And you see the moon's in Leo, the sun's in Taurus, and we got this Uranus and Venus and Gemini. We still have, the Aries in the sixth house, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron. So it's still very busy in terms of Aries stellium, Aries energy, because this is just a week away. Okay. We'll start off kind of breaking everything down in the basics, but this is at what is that, 8:52 p.m. and that's on New York. So it's going to be 2:52 on the west side of town for Pacific folks. Okay. When you look at the Mars, the chart ruler for Scorpio, we look at the traditional planets, that's Mars. So there are, for this, even though we're focusing on Uranus and Gemini, for the chart, there's going to be a lot of emphasis for our work, our health, and daily routine. Now, remember, Mars is in, sorry, I'm having issues with this, my thingy here, my mouse. Mars is in its planetary joy in the sixth house. So that means it will overcome the work enemies, the haters, the sicknesses, the illnesses, the daily routine. You'll have the fuel to handle it. But still, remember, with Saturn and Aries, us Aries men and women, bad boys, bad girls, got to move slowly and in silence, right? We have to still be measured with not being overly impulsive, discipline, right? Neptune, spirituality in your daily routine, compassion, empathy, your creative mind. Obviously, with the Mercury too, the energy is very direct. But I would just want to show you before we get to Uranus and Gemini. It's interesting because with this Chiron, the galactic center in Sag, and the Leo moon, we have a grand fire trine. Okay. And this really tells us too, emotionally, when we open up our heart chakra and work on healing that inner child and kind of tap into that galactic lineage, knowing that we're star seeds, moving, we can release some of those childhood traumas. Remember, you guys, I think it's very apropos that as all this heavy stuff is going on, Chiron's been in Aries since like 2017 or early 2018, right? It goes to Taurus on Juneteenth, June 19th. But it stays in Aries longer. Aries and then Taurus and then the other signs, it's like way quicker. Still, don't know why that is. Even Anjani didn't know. But I think what's fascinating about it, it's healing our wounding of activating our I am energy, right? If we were all kind of out of the matrix, I'm not saying, I'm talking to me first, right? But if we were all truly out of the programming, the brainwashing, the cognitive dissonance, and the matrix, with all that's been revealed, Epstein, whatever, just attack, just all of it. If we were in our right minds, we would just like really forget about January 6th insurrection, the whole world. We'd shut it down. We would take them, put them in jail, and we would start the whole system all over again. But we are divided by what? The circus. Give them, entertainment and give them bread, right? And so that's what's going on in kind of New Babylon. We are, When homeless people have cell phones, we don't even really know what poverty is in this country. Okay. Please know third world countries, you know what I mean? The poverty is a different level, than here in America. And it's not to minimize, like, it's all relative, right? Because where you live, if you are so far on the scale and have less than, it still feels like real poverty. And it is. It's just that America is still the wealthiest land in the world. But here we go. So Uranus comes in at 0 degrees and it's conjunct Venus. Now, this is in a mutable, masculine, mutable air sign. Okay. And this is the snapshot of this transit for the next 7 years. So we still have Jupiter exalted. Venus Gemini is, pretty favorable, very much the socialite. But being in eighth house, and we're starting off with just the overall chart, but yes, Scorpio risings, and then we'll go counterclockwise. We'll go to Sag next and go around and end with Libra. But it's trining the Pluto, right? And so, with this Pluto being trine, to the Uranus and Venus, and no, it's not exact, but 3 degrees off of the Venus, only five, and trine, you can go up to 7 degrees. That is the harmonious flow of energy. So there's a lot about revolution, transformation, right? Thought communication. The people are talking through the technology, through the air, through mental telepathy. When I tell you about the clairs being activated, we just don't know. But remember, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So it's higher thought, higher consciousness, right? The modern ruler of Aquarius. Uranus is what? Unpredictable, chaotic, extreme weather. It's your soul seeking freedom and liberation, breaking the social norms, fracturing the structures. Weird, bizarre, innovative, futuristic. It's the vanguard. It's brilliant genius energy. It's pushing the envelope. And so when you think about that conjunct Venus, that's about our self-worth, our values, our fashion, food, our vehicles, and our dinero, the money, trining Pluto. So this is going to be a big transformation and or boost to the digital currencies and crypto. Now, the problem is, though, there's the battle, right? And there's always a battle, right? This is supposed to be decentralized. They're trying to centralize it. That's about the USD stable coins. So there's that battle in terms of, will the people have in this quote unquote age of Aquarius 5D, will we have financial freedom, liberty, and sovereignty? Or will we just destroy one system to build another more digitized trap for us? This is why you have to Uranus and Gemini is going to be a challenge to our sovereignties and freedoms. There's going to be good and bad, but it's going to, wherever it is, align you authentically on your soul's mission and purpose. And remember, it will do whatever it has to do. If it has to make you sick, if it has to bring you, to lose your job, if it has to get you to get a divorce, if it has to get you, I mean, it literally, if you are kind of not walking in your true soul's alignment and purpose, it's going to make sure that you will. And it doesn't mean that it's not for your greatest benefit, but it does mean that that could be if you're fixed and stubborn and stuck and not open, not adaptable and flexible, it could be a really rough transit. Okay. Just like a Saturn, but Saturn's only 2.5 years. Uranus is like, I'm here for 7 years, folks. It's, I want to say another word, the BI word, but I'm just like, whatever. But for real, like it can be pretty intense. Now, what's really fascinating too is this Leo moon at the 29th degree. We know the anaretic degree. Leo moons want the spotlight, the attention out in public. Looking at this chart with the Taurus sun, the Leo moon, we kind of have the Lilith squaring, not exact, but it's kind of square. Let me see if somebody's in the room. Squaring, the moon. One thing that we have to be mindful of is that this is not this does connect us to politics, entertainment, and things like that because that Leo moon, all right, welcome in. That Leo moon is really, um, as the young kids say, outside, right? That Leo moon is in the jungle in the 10th house. And so when you think of the 10th house, you guys, that's where you have to overcome obstacles. Sixth house and 10th house, those are houses where you deal with obstacles. And remember, you hear me, I say it all the time, houses 3, 6, 10, and 11, they have to develop over time, right? Like you got to work at it. So the 10th house is kind of like that place, the jungle. So when you're having the Leo moon there's going to be this energy where whether or not this is showing us the government kind of enforcing things about work on the people. Because remember, in a mundane chart, Leo moon, that's us. Okay. And even though it's trining the Chiron, when it comes to work and daily routine, we still got Saturn here. And so, these are things where you got Neptune and Saturn, right? Dissolving authority, not seeing governments or authority clearly, being deceived, illusions, confusions, right? Think about all the double talk that we have from the top right now about anything, let alone just this, war. But at the end of the day, I even spoke about it last night, but I tell you guys, these things, World War III has already been in place, spiritual warfare. And that's what this is. Like, this is real, like Anunnaki beef. And these are stargates and portals. Iran is Stargate 10. I believe Maui, but I know in Hawaii is Stargate 11. And so, it's about frequency, vibration, energy, spirit, souls. I don't know, maybe, fallen angels coming through these portals and realms. So our two eyes are really not going to bring us that understanding and clarity, which is why Neptune conjunct Saturn, you have to in your work and daily routine, because even though this is Scorpio rising, this is the actual transit chart for everybody. So, yeah, you would look at it whether you have Aries in your seventh, your fifth, or your first, you still have got to consider this transit chart and then you overlay it kind of on yours. But Saturn Neptune conjunction wants you to have spiritual discipline too, because that's almost like the hidden cheat code to thrive and survive all this chaos and mess. Uranus and Gemini here is letting us know the crystals, the herbs. We got to tap into the ancient minerals. We got to tap into the syllogy to, even what we were talking about in the podcast the other night with Melissa, right? Maybe Hape, Sanunga, ayahuasca, the toad, this, that. I don't know if you heard this morning in the news, El Presidente, right, just announced, and it's weird, right? Because every once in a while he'll say something and you're like, oh, wow, that's going to help the people. Okay, that's weird. But they are going to run trials to legalize LSD for postpartum depression, for PTSD, for all this stuff. Because I don't know if you guys are aware, ecstasy and LSD used to be legal, and then they were made illegal because it was helping people. Okay. So that's a big thing to potentially legalize that, which can take away, depression and stress and pain and trauma, different things they've, done. I guess one of the studies said it was like giving people relief up to like 5 months or whatever. Who knows, right? But these are the types of things. You're hearing all this stuff about peptides. You're hearing stuff about the fascia, um, the the um, the plasma, stem cells, right? You're hearing people going back to, it may sound weird. I'm thinking about trying it, you guys, but it doesn't sound good. But we've been brainwashed to think about that. When you're in your mother's womb, you're surviving off of drinking urine. And that is basically, a lot of people are coming back to talking about that, drinking your own urine and you let it sit, I forget how long, but it has crazy amount of stem cells and healing properties in it, compared to people going to what Mexico and stuff like that, to these different places to get injections of stem cells and being, charged $20,000. You've got your own. Yeah, it may sound nasty and disgusting and this and that. I know people that have tried it and said it didn't really have much of a taste. I think it is more mental. I haven't tried it yet. Trust me, if and when I do, I will let y'all know. But I gotta build up to that. I'm still human, right? I'm
There was
like
a boxer that used to do that.
a boxer. A lot of people do. A lot of people over the years, and you've heard these stories on these survival shows. And I forgot the one guy, the Australian guy, and he'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, mate, I got to drink my urine." I mean,
Yeah.
people do it, and nobody dies. They only thrive. So it's a real thing. But I'm not saying it's a real thing that I'm looking forward to trying. But I think one day I may try it because I got a lot of pain in my body. So why not? So.
He would religiously do it, I think, before his fights.
Really?
Uh,
Yeah, during training. I forgot his name. He's this Mexican, I think it's a Mexican boxer.
oh, you mean Juan Manuel Marquez?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Marquez.
really? I
Yeah,
remember him.
I think he like when he was fighting Manny Pacquiao and stuff like that.
Oh, Pacquiao did it too?
No, no.
No,
Oh, when he was
he,
fighting Pacquiao?
yeah, he did it for his camp.
Oh, okay. That's fascinating. But also, the one thing that you got to realize with this Uranus conjunct the Venus, that is literally sudden events and changes to, and it's in eighth house, right? To our marriages, relationships, to our partner's resources. Um, this can bring inheritance. This can bring things about midwives, mediumship, hearing voices or ancestors from other people or on the other side, doula, deaf doula, midwife. Um, but also this can really affect, because remember the eighth house is hidden. This is like secret societies, FBI, CIA. So this makes me think what they could be secretly behind the scenes changing our financial system. Do you guys know about how many things, including the stock market, are now on the blockchain? Real estate on the blockchain, this and that on the blockchain. It's happening. And the reality is, these wars and stuff like that are to distract us from this great wealth exchange that the billionaires are finding these opportunities to become richer and richer. And so, this is why I've been saying for the last year or so, diversify cash, gold, silver, platinum, copper. I don't necessarily love or mess with Bitcoin. I'm totally cool if people do it. It's up to you. But when you just look at the mechanisms, the XRP and XLM are important because that's those through Ripple and Apple, they've made the deals. That's how they will transfer the digital funding. So that's something to invest in. It's smart, right? So, but I just want you to see that this can be affecting. And one prediction that I think could really happen, and this is something I saw in Coma in the spiritual realm, we, and I think before 2034, but at least by 2034, or if I could be wrong, but by the Pluto 2044, we will probably no longer have these cell phones. What I saw was almost like debit credit cards, and we used that, and it kind of was like everything. It was it was cell phones, it was this, that, and it was just like real thin and just like a little credit card. Um, and I think that, that's where things are coming. But I say all this to say, when you see Uranus, Venus in the eighth house, yeah, it's for Scorpio rising, but it's for this transit of this chart. You got to think that there could be a little something nefarious in terms of what they may present to us. Remember, I keep going back to old boy, right, Andrew Yang, back in that 2016 election when he was talking about the basic income for people, and everybody's like, "Oh, that sounds cool. What? I don't have to do nothing. I get 2,000 or 4,000 a month." You know that they don't give you nothing for free. And so that's part of the trap of the digital enslavement. They're already building 15-minute cities. Some people say they're already building like concentration camps all over the South and Midwest. Some people say leave the coastlines because the coastlines aren't safe. Don't live near the Mississippi River or the far coast. Things could be popping off and happening. I don't know, but I choose a different timeline. We have to get the knowledge, be well informed of potentialities, but we have to expect that good things are coming for us and will happen to us. Intention has been studied by astrophysicists, quantum mechanics, that when you are in that mirror and speak those positive affirmations and you think and speak positive thoughts, that is what becomes your reality and your experience. So please, let's get as positive as we can. Nothing happens to us, everything happens for us. I'm not saying that, you know, look, I wake up and my right foot hurts and I'm freaking limping. I can't ignore that, but it is changing the verbiage. We talked about last night, but just in general, the English language is the lowest vibrational, right? When you hear other people's cultures and they say, illness or sickness or this pain is passing through me, that's their vocabulary. And that's a beautiful way to think about it, right? We don't make these declarations, the I ams, okay? Unless it's positive, right? Our finger and our mouth and tongue, they're magic wands. Please do not, you know what I mean? When you point, point with purpose. When you speak, speak with love and positivity and purpose. And remember, even the gossiping's not good. We all do it, right? I'm not, I do it too. It's not good. I will catch myself and be like, oh, okay, stop, right? Because your subconscious mind thinks you're talking about you. It don't know you talking about, freaking Trump or this one or that one or Diana Ross's daughter or whoever, right? They think it's talking about you, okay? Subconscious mind. Now, one other thing about this chart, and then we're gonna kind of start to dance around with the rising signs, and then I'll take any questions. That grand fire trine, the Jupiter at 18 degrees in Cancer is squaring. It's not trining. Now the North Node is down to, and Pisces is down to 7, the true node, not the mean one. But, and it's also trining Vesta. Vesta and Pallas are going to leave Pisces, but it is squaring Mercury. So our lower mind and our higher mind are in a square. They're in disagreement. They need to learn to agree to disagree, right? So the directness of the processing, analytical, logical mind in Aries is like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going there. Don't do that. Get off my lawn. Don't do this. Blah, 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 blah. It's very direct. Aries Mercury speaks fast. It's authoritative. It's powerful. It's brave and courageous, and it's gonna just say things. It's not as blunt as Sagittarius Mercury, okay? But it's just very direct, right? And it's very I want, I need, I, right? Remember, Aries energy, it's not an attack on Aries people, but Aries energy is the childhood genius, the pioneer maverick 0 to 7, but it's very immature. Okay. So that communication can be popping off assertive and aggressive, and it's still in a loose conjunction to Mars while it's squaring your Jupiter in Cancer, higher mind, emotional intelligence, connecting to the divine wisdom and knowledge. Who's our first teacher? That's why Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Your mama. And if it wasn't mama, maybe it was big mama, grandma, whatever. But, the first teacher is going to come from your home. So some people didn't have a mom, their dad was their first teacher, but it's from your home, Cancer. Okay. So that's an interesting square because that means that as we're going through whatever transformations of Uranus and Gemini conjunct Venus, which is our relationships, our finances, we already see they're talking about gas prices may not come back down until September, October. Now, the reality is, you guys know, we all know that honestly, we have all of the gas and oil we need. We're not really getting our gas and oil from there. Other things are affecting us, fertilizer, crude oil, different things. So, but it's also affecting the rest of the world more than us. But that's a global economy, but they hike up the gas prices. It's just a money grab. War is about money. And the trip is, if you remember in Iraq, right, Halliburton and Carlisle, they would get the contracts to rebuild. So you go in there, destroy it, and then you're getting paid. And the people that own these companies and on the boards, Condoleezza Rice, Dick Cheney, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just, oh my God, you know. I know you guys remember Iraq and all that stuff, but that's what, that's what goes down and that's what happens, right? In terms of anything else, really the only thing that really stood out too, I said that Lilith at 20 is it's not really trining. I guess the Lilith is kind of trining to Jupiter. So we do need to trust our intuition, around our wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies. Actually, that's a positive trine because it's direct too. The Jupiter's direct now. And um, you know, one thing about Uranus Gemini, it is going to affect the central nervous system. And so there's going to be a lot of things around this time where you guys may want to start doing rituals and routines in the morning of lymphatic massages, right? Starting at the back of the ears, the neck, going down, collarbone, under the armpits, and the fold of the elbow, right, in the arm, uh, pelvic, behind the knee, and then release down at the ankle. Um, Especially even with this water energy. But one thing that I would do if you wanted to, like a new moon, and I don't know, I just thought of this, but this is such a powerful energy. It's almost like I'm thinking of like a newer full moon, maybe doing some journaling with this Leo moon, the 29th degree, doing something creative from your heart that you want to have the best Uranus transit possible. You know what I mean? There's no harm in ever setting positive intentions. You know what I mean? And maybe journaling, writing a letter, kiss it off to God, your ancestors, whatever, because, I think this is going to be just as much as Neptune and Aries, Saturn, Aries, Pluto, Aquarius. This transit is going to be one for the ages to remember, the 7 years of Uranus and Gemini. Okay. Remember, we're going to have transformations and changes in the medical system, financial, travel, cars, automobiles, planes, flight, right? Technology. You seeing all the backlash, right, with these data centers, right? They're using up all this water, right? Out here, there's controversy about, the data centers in the West Coast because the Colorado River takes care of 7 states, right? Including Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Arizona. And it didn't get hardly any snow this year. It's like down, I don't know, 30 to 50%. It's very bad. And there's fears of real drought. Um, these aren't accidents, you guys. Okay. And so the one thing that I want to say is that, we got to focus on our spiritual practice and our health because things could be coming that, we're going to have to be able to boogie a little bit and maybe move a little and maybe have the food, clothing, water, rice, beans, generator, candles, flashlights, for 2 weeks to 3 months to 6 months. I don't know. But the one thing I would say is I know, and everybody speaks about every future outcome that people have seen, which is why they get so upset, is that the light and the good wins. So hold on to that, but it doesn't mean that you're not on a roller coaster that's bumpy as hell, that you may have to toss your cookies and throw up along the way on the roller coaster. Okay. And I'm a Virgo and a Capricorn and I follow rules and I'm a good person that's like, you know what? I want to be that Boy Scout that's ready. I got my candles, my flashlight, my rice, my beans, my canned fruit and canned vegetables. Because the last thing you want to be is somebody that when sugar honey iced tea hits the fan, that you ain't got Nathan. And you're like, oh, everybody told me I should have listened. You don't want to shoulda at this point. Okay. And I'm not saying this is happening April 25th. I don't know. I'm not saying that, but in this 7-year transit and you're dealing with Uranus, Gemini, Gemini's are the ears. Those 5G towers, your technology is not better. Those are energy weapons. CIA documents, I think, allude to it. So, I mean, we have to really get connected with these crystals, get connected to EMF protectors, get connected to nature, right? My favorite MC, Karis, once said, you want to have your gun, and that gun is God, universe, nature. And probably still the gun too, but I don't get into all that stuff. That's personal with y'all. But God, universe, nature. So we're going to start to go to Sagittarius risings. Any questions about this chart? And also, I will say, Venus trine Pluto. That's really speaking to the digital technology, currency, love over the internet. The Leo moon, 10th house, 29 degrees, is a very like outside sexual energy too. The Taurus sun in the seventh house is being lit up in the marketplace, but also in relationship. And that also speaks to, you know what? What have I been saying? You got to have your tribe online and in your local community. You got to. You got to have somebody that you can get oil and butter from, or a match, or somebody that if you got the strawberries and blueberries and they got the, spinach and string beans, that you can trade and you both got fruits and veggies. Like make friends with that weird neighbor that you had never spoken to. Okay? It's just smart. We can't be an island unto ourselves. We have to activate. You see all this? We have to. And remember, I was saying this during the Aries North Node. If any of y'all were rocking with me back then in this Chiron, we have to activate our I am to be brave and courageous, the soldier, the warrior, sovereignty, independence, and freedom, so that we can help heal the we are. Okay. So just know that it's super important. Let Melissa in. Hello. And it's very important that we are doing that. When we are willing to be a leader as an individual, then we can come in as a tribe.
Um, Melissa's
Yeah,
trying
I
to
got it. I got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's what's really important. And Melissa, this is basically like your chart. Scorpio rising. You see the Uranus in eighth house, Taurus sun, Leo moon. I was cracking up. I told them in the beginning, this is like Melissa's chart, you know? And so, but just remember the I am is that we have got to heal the Chiron Aries, where we as children, right? What they used to tell us, oh, stop crying. I'll give you something to cry about. Oh, I didn't ask you nothing. You're a child, right? Be quiet, right? Children are to be seen and not heard, right? Most of us are of an age where we experience that. Lewis probably didn't, unless he did, more culturally, but not by his age. But a lot of us who are, older millennials and Gen Xers, you know, those, we didn't have that opinion like the kids have now and the chiming in. And so,
Yep.
yes, good.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
That's
we didn't have that. And so that's part of what we're healing. That's why this Chiron trining the moon in the galactic center, this grand fire trine, during the start of this transit, we have got to be able to activate through joy and play in our heart chakra that Christ consciousness is within us, the I am is within us, that we have to all be more brave and courageous. And I said this earlier, Melissa, you missed it, but I said, with all that's going on, if we, and I'm talking about me too, if we were truly all out of the programming of the matrix, the cognitive dissonance, and we were in our I am energy, we would all go down there over, way more than the insurrection. We would all go down there, stop working, stop paying taxes, and put everybody in jail or worse, right? I
we'd
mean,
be doing what Ireland's starting to.
it's not just Ireland. Italy, Ireland, other countries. They've like, what did they do? Oh, it was it not Nepal? It was some country. It was months ago. You guys probably saw it. It was wild. Like they went and carried the leaders up out of their places. They like took the whole joint over. I was like, whoa, was this Bangladesh? I forgot where it was, but it was somewhere over there. But but that's the reality. You know what I mean? And I'm not encouraging anything like that or whatever, but I'm just saying this is what we are awakening. And Uranus is going to give you the downloads for you to walk on your soul's highest purpose. Okay? So whatever your Gemini house is, this is for your greatest good, but it's not going to be so this 7-year transit, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have ringing in your ears, you probably don't need to go to the doctor. You probably just need to breathe and meditate. Okay. Start getting into candle magic. Start using candles, right? This is even a good time next Saturday. Do it all, right? You got Jupiter trine Lilith. Get in the bathtub with your candles. Do the voice memo or notepad and pencil journal and heal your inner childhood wounds so you could be like, I am the I am. No more games, no more BSing, no more victimhood, no more crying 3D, 5D. It's go time. I'm here for it. And I am going to focus on my health, my spiritual discipline, my spiritual practice, my positive affirmations, my intention, and I'm ready for whatever comes my way. Period. We have to be. And Uranus and Gemini will help you to activate that for whatever that is for you, your life, your soul, and your chart, right? For me and Melissa and Israel and Danny and any other Scorpio risings, this is our 8th house. So Scorpio risings, you have to be ready for mediumship, downloads, connecting more with herbs and crystals, right? When Melissa comes to the tribe May 1st, or even after the podcast, reaching out like, hey, you know what? I want to try some Sananga. I want to try some Hop. I want to try magic mushrooms, right? This is that time. And I'm excited as a Scorpio rising. I'm like, I'm ready to hear some, I mean, now you got to watch what you wish for, right? But I'm ready to get some clairs. I don't want to say I'm ready to hear like people from the other side. I don't know if I want that gift. I'm not saying that I don't, but I don't know yet if I really want that gift. We have to be mindful that some spiritual gifts are for certain people and some are for other people. You know what I mean? My brain is already like, woof. I don't know if I need to hear, other people's ancestors saying, oh, hi, I'm so and so's grandma. Can you give so and so a message? I'm like, oof, I don't know if I want that. Okay. But I'm open. I'm open to any possibilities with Uranus and Venus in 8th house. I'm ready for like a sudden download of money for Alana, which is Venus, Uranus in 8th house, or inheritance, right? Which, actually she kind of is going through right now still with, handling her aunt's business. So, that's very literal right there for a Scorpio rising. So just wanted to share that, talk about that. Any questions before we go to Sagittarius rising?
It's more of a comment of
Yeah.
like, I'm curious. My niece, who was born in the eclipse 2 years ago, is a Scorpio rising. She just turned 2 April 7th, and her name's Phoenix. And I'm wondering how this is going to show up because her mom is gifted, but her mom's in denial. So
Was she Pluto Capricorn or Pluto Aquarius? Was she born before November 19th, 2024?
I have her chart. Let me look real
Yeah.
quick.
Because that Pluto could be like 28, 29 Capricorn, or maybe in Aquarius. I just, because remember it went in, it went back, and then it went in. It went in permanently November 19th, 2024.
She's Aries Sun, Aries Moon,
And where's
and Scorpio rising 000.
where's the Pluto?
Pluto.
Cap or Aquarius? 3rd or 4th house?
Pluto is in Aquarius at 1 degree.
Okay, there you go. So, and so she is, really a beta baby. And this is these are magical little beings. This is their first time here. I'm pretty sure all of them. And they're not here for the Matrix. They're not here for, you know what I mean? Like she'd be better
Mhm.
off doing like the Denmark, Finland way. They don't start school until 7 years old, or they do like, more homeschool or half of this. And you know what I mean? They need the mystery school education. They don't need this Western, Rockefeller school system that is about producing workers and brainwashing us. These
Yeah.
kids, they don't want that. They
Yeah,
don't
she
want it.
is.
Alphas and betas don't want it. Do you realize my kids are alphas, the 12-year-old twins? Honestly, they know the school's a sham. They really just want to go because they want to be around other alphas. They want to be about their friends. They go for the socialization. They don't even, I have to deprogram when they come home. I'm very intentional as a father. I let them know the truth. I let them know about, whatever it is. I was there for 9/11. I was there for the Million Man March. I was there for this. I was there. I tell them the truth. They get history lessons because you don't get any real much stuff anyway. But I always inject the truth. So let's go to Sagittarius risings. So Sag risings, that grand fire trine I was speaking about is in your first, fifth, and ninth house. So it's really important, Mama Miss and other Sag risings here, that you are really, initiating that creativity, joy, and play from your heart, because that's going to help you to connect with the other half, whether it's in the marketplace, signing contract. Now, the only thing is Uranus is in your seventh house for the next 7 years, right? And remember, we're talking about Uranus and Venus in the seventh house, that conjunction. Now, obviously, Venus won't be there for the next 7 years, but Uranus, Venus is there, and that's the snapshot of this transit for this energy. So there's going to be sudden new ways of earning money for Sag risings, sudden new relationships, right? Maybe it's like you're making crystals or numerology or cardology, astrology jewelry, or you're, maybe you get into a business partnership with a woman or something. You know what I mean? There's a lot of just Uranus in the seventh house. Unfortunately, it could be a female friend or someone, a boyfriend's ex-girlfriend that could like suddenly be the open enemy. You have to kind of be open to anything. But the one thing about Uranus, Venus, that's also the seventh house is your kitchen. And there can be sudden fame. Okay, so this is actually good for you, Mama Miss, in terms of the sudden fame by what? Activating authentically Venus, Gemini, your throat chakra over social media, right? Or in the marketplace, selling something. So that's really important for Sagittarius risings, you guys watching in the replay, and know that, you're going to need higher consciousness and connective with the partner, because this is you in relation to the other half. The seventh house, right, is speaking about the people you connect with. So it could be a relationship or a marriage where, Uranus is there, so it could be a very open marriage, right? Maybe somebody's getting into a throuple, no judgment, right? But that's Uranus Venus in the seventh house. That's throuple, that's same-sex couple, that's innovative ways of making money, new forms of, it's like jewelry, it's travel, flight, but it's also higher conscious connections when you're communicating with the other half. And in the kitchen, that's more fruits and veggies, that's more organic, that's vegan, vegetarian. Okay, so that's what's going on for Sag risings. Any questions about that for you, Mama, or any other Sag risings here?
Eric, I have a question.
Oh yeah, you're Sag rising too, yeah.
Can you say more about the kitchen and why?
Well, because the seventh house is the kitchen.
Oh, the seventh house is the kitchen.
And for Sag risings, Uranus and Venus is going to be there. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
And so Venus is your vehicles, your love language, your finances, food, chocolate, sweets, your aesthetics. Maybe when you go shopping for clothes, you're like, only organic cotton, linen, and wool. We're not getting
Mm,
Lululemon crap, no more polyester, no rayon, no recycled this. We're doing high vibrational clothing. It's time for all of us, honestly, to be doing,
right.
you know what I mean? I mean, hey, I got all these kids. I can afford to like buy like one or two, organic cotton things every once in a blue moon, but I'm more worried about doing that with the boys, even if it's just starting off with underwear, right? And myself. But we have to be intentional. These fabrics, didn't you guys hear about this lawsuit with Sheen recently? Some stuff got on
Yes.
some child, or I mean, it's because it's freaking crap. It's poisoned, you guys. The clothing, we are under attack every which way but loose. The food, the water, the air, the clothing, the vehicles, the this, the technology, the cell phone, the television. They're listening to everything. Blah, blah, blah. Hi, you guys. I'm glad you're listening to us. We love you. You know what I mean? Like for real. So don't think of it as like, oh my God, this is so much to do. Think of it as it's just how you live now. You get up, you do times of gratitude before you leave the bed. You go in the mirror and brush your teeth and wash your face. You use your opposite hand and you pour in the positive affirmations about how dope and amazing you are. You start off your day with the hot water, then the hot lemon water, then your tea or coffee, and then you eat. You go out and sun gaze at sunrise and sunset. You go try to get some sun during the day, even if it's you're at work, you can only got 30 minutes to go outside. Well, do it. Get the light coach from the sun. Put your palms up. You know what I mean? And I say, even for my European brothers and sisters, you may not between 12 and 2 need to be out directly in the sun, but you can be in the shade looking at the sun. But you can always sun gaze at sunrise and sunset because it activates the melanin through the retina. We have to be intentional. Try not to eat late at night. Try to go to bed between, 10 and 6 so your organs can heal. Try not to eat so late because then you're not healing if your body's digesting and working because you went to bed at 10 and you had your dinner at 9 at 9:15. Your body's not healing, it's working, it's digesting. I mean, these are biohacking life hacks. To me, it's just a new 5D way of living. And when you know you're in spiritual warfare and under attack, you got to be armed with where the Bible says about your book of armor. Well, all that stuff I just mentioned is your book, your coat of armor, right? Talking to your water, praying over your food, right? Trying to get spring water, trying to drink out of copper cups or glass, blue glass. I mean, it's just got to be the regular norm. And yeah, some of your friends and family be like, oh my God, you do all that? It's crazy. Yeah, but you do all that, but in a different way that's negative, that's hurting you. You intentionally go and buy a Big Mac or a Whopper. You intentionally drink soda, smoke cigarettes, and vape. You intentionally buy Doritos and Starbucks. It's poison. Starbucks is being sued. Don't buy that crap. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say it's bingo time. But when you realize and see how they come at you, you got to make a radical change. And Uranus and Gemini is here to give you the boost. If you're like, oh, Eric, that sounds like a lot to me, it won't be after the 25th. Because you may even get the revelation that if you don't do it, you're not going to be here as long as you want to be. You may get the revelation that if you don't do it, you're going to be trapped in a 15-minute city and be in digital enslavement. You're going to realize if you don't do it, that you may start to have the parasites take you over and you get a turbo cancer. You're going to realize if you don't do it, that you're just feeling lethargic and tired all the time and just like, grouchy and grumpy and your health is failing. We've got to grab the reins and walk into the I am energy. It's bingo time. And you're all here for a reason. You're built for this. You're not even just here for a reason. You're here to lay the foundation, pour the cement of the age of Aquarius. You're all on a big spiritual karmic assignment. So don't play small anymore. Pat yourself on the back. You're doing a great job and you're going to continue to flourish and soar. You have three bad days in a row. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up. What did Aaliyah say? Dust yourself off and try again, try again. First you don't succeed, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, God, I loved her. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we got this. We don't need no pity parties. And we're human. You don't think I have bad days? You know what I'm saying? I mean, but I will take that time to go outside and meditate by my tree. There's things that I still haven't done that I want to do. I'd like to set up an ancestral altar. I've never done it. Jazz sent me an email telling me tips and how to do it, and I asked her to, and she did it for our cardology class, and it's like a beautiful breakdown. And if you guys are interested, I can share it with you guys as well. But, that's something I'd like to do. I do honor my ancestors every day. I talk to them out in nature by my tree. I thank my grandparents on both sides, my mom, my dad, my aunts, all that stuff. My higher self. But I'm telling you, just like I told you, Uranus and Taurus, you got to connect to Gaia, Mother Earth, and nature. With Uranus and Gemini, go for a walk. The air is going to be different, y'all. And I don't know if it's true. I've seen people talking about it on the internet that you have the power with your intention and your words and your hands, that when you're outside in nature, you can move some of those chemtrails. You can move some of them clouds and stuff. These things are wands. You see the difference of the color, the back and the front of your hand? Let that sun hit those palms. Put it up, right? And just start seeing the magic happen. So let's go. Anybody else, anything with Sag rising? Did I answer your question about that? And just remember too, with the kitchen, it's also Venus, Uranus. Maybe you're just in there cooking, making some healthy stuff. Venus, put on some music. See, when I tell Lana, I don't cook much, but when Dad cooks, it's a party. I put on the music and we're jamming. Then it don't become stressful. I tell Lana, I'm like, hey, just put on the music. You cooking, you're gonna have a good time. You're not gonna be stressing it. And then sometimes she remembers, and then when she puts it on, she's singing and happy. And I'm like, see, Eric kind of knows a little something. People should just listen to me just a little bit, But try that. Venus is there. Sag risings, music when you're cooking healthy stuff in the kitchen. You got to cut up them tomatoes. You got to cut up the strawberries, the broccoli, the kale. It's hard work cutting up vegetables. Shoot, I don't like that. But put on some music, you're dancing, it becomes a different experience. Okay.
I agree. I do that because I don't really like the kitchen, but the music, it helps.
Oh God, it does. Cause you singing and you like, oh yeah. And you like, it just, yeah. Oh God. When Alana was doing Quench Naturel, she was out every weekend and I had to cook for my mother and the 3 young boys. You best believe Dad was in there rocking Tribe and Karis One and De La Soul, Wu-Tang. It was a party. It was on and popping, So let's go to Capricorn risings because we're going to have Venus, Uranus in the 6th house of your health, your hygiene, your coworkers, your daily routine. Well, this could suddenly be a love affair at work. The 6th house is debt, divorce, conflicts, sicknesses. Uranus, Venus, there could be some issues with your digestion, small, large intestine, or pancreas. You can suddenly get a promotion and a raise. You may suddenly meet your wife at work or just suddenly find love at work. And this could be the sudden divorce. But we're dealing with Gemini, so it's also, there could be something about your skills and your self-efforts, that has got you tapping in to higher consciousness. You're going to the gym or you're going for your walk in your daily routine. You're like, wait a minute, I'm going to start working with the planets like Eric says. I'm going to work out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And if I want to do 5 days, I'll bring in Wednesday and Sunday. I'm not going to work out on Mondays and Fridays. It does not do me well energetically. Monday's the moon. That's why you don't want to go nowhere. You don't want to go to work. You should work 40 hours, 10 hours a day, Tuesday through Friday. Friday is chocolate, flowers, and date night. You don't want to work out on those days. You got 5 days. You take off Monday, Friday, life will fall into line just a little bit easier. Okay. But Venus, that's a mild malefic house. The 6th house, benefic planets don't do as well there. But Venus is like a little kiss, a little guardian angel. I've shared with you before different accidents, right? And Venus was there. The car accident with Alana and the kids, car totaled, not a scratch on any of them. Venus was there. My mother choked. I had to do the Heimlich, save her life, choking on meatloaf. And transit, Venus was there. Venus is, even in the challenging 6th house, is going to soften the sicknesses and illnesses. It's going to soften the vitriol and the smack talk from the coworkers and the bosses. Okay. But with Uranus, Venus, there could be a lot. And maybe on your daily routine, you really just start like, yo, I'm gonna start doing day trading in crypto. I'm gonna start getting in crypto. You know, Capricorn rises about their money and business. That can literally happen with that. Okay. Now the Aquarius risings, we're going to the fifth house. And you know, what's really powerful, this is your children, but you know it's, you know, starting off with the first child, right? But it's your creativity, your hobbies, your ancient history, your past life karmas, gambling, fantasy sports, political discussion and debate, dating, romance, fun, sex, speculative gains. Aquarius risings with Pluto in your ascendant and this trine to this fifth house, this is the time that that hobby or your creative gifts, you can launch that business and it soars. You know what I mean? This is a very powerful, beneficial time. Or you can get on the dating apps and find the love of your life. But you can also start teaching, you know, coding, robotics, different things, or reverse it. Start teaching your children plumbing, automobiles, heating, cooling. My 16-year-old is going to a school program called EVIT. He's going to be learning how to work on cars. He's going to have skills that the, you know, AI and the robots can't take over. Right now, you know, young people, I'd be like, yo, go get you a trade. Learn plumbing, learn heating, cooling, right? Learn all that stuff because these are jobs that they're not taking. They were telling us that all the blue collar jobs are going to be gone. A lot of the white collar jobs are going to be gone. Yeah, you may have people in McDonald's like robots and this and that, and it's going to be very few humans. Customer service is going away. It's all, you know, audio and digital now and all this stuff. Like, I mean, you know, be intentional. When you go to the grocery store, don't go in the lane that's self-checkout. Go to the place where there's a human. So these stores have to keep human beings in there. I do that with the meter on my house. I live in a community of 34, 35 homes. Us and then our friends in the front. We're the only two families that, you know, have to come out and read the meter, you know, for your electrical. Everybody else, they just let them do the gun, pew, but that sends crazy negative gamma waves and energy and frequencies into your home. And I'm like, these people are crazy. I said to the lady, I was like, I'm keeping you working. She goes, thank you. She's like, yeah, it's only you and one other home. I was like, what? All these other people are brain dead? Yeah. But you can't tell them nothing, right? They think they're all sedity and doctors and this and that or whatever, right? And all this money. They're sitting there getting cooked energetically. So we also have to kind of reimagine what intelligence is, what you know, someone's accomplishments are. Just because somebody's a doctor or a lawyer doesn't mean they know nothing about nothing. They can vape, eat Doritos and Pepsi Cola every day and destroy their whole body. Fluoride, the whole nine. So what good does medical school or law school do for you when you poison yourself every day? I get blown away by that every day. The kids had a friend, their mother freaking gave them those caffeine energy drinks in the morning before school. The kid was psychotic crazy. But what do you think is going to happen to little people? You give 12, 13-year-old kids bolts of caffeine and sugar before they go to school. They're going to behave poorly. Okay? So like, you know, and it used to kill me when I'd be on the 2 train going to work. It would break my heart. But it also sometimes, I'm going to be honest, would make me angry. I'd be like, wow, the people in the Bronx, like they're self-sabotaging. When you're on the train at 7 a.m. in the morning and your child's doing their homework and they're having Sunkiss or Orange Crush soda and Doritos for breakfast, that's not the breakfast of champions. That's living in trauma. But that's poor choices. That same money you had to spend the soda and Doritos, it's not because they're poverty, it's a poverty mindset. And I'm not trying to judge, but I'm just talking about what's real. Because that same mom could be like, you know what, let me get you a yogurt and put some fruit in it. Or let me get you, you know, something that's healthy, a different choice. Let me get you apple juice or just some water, you know, and a whole grain muffin. I mean, whatever it is, right? You know, whatever. It's not my concern or my business, but it's sad. because children cannot function properly. And then we wonder why you see generation after generation caught up in this trap of food deserts and poverty, right? Just because they make a plan doesn't mean you have to submit and fall into it and make the plan successful and thrive, right? I mean, come on, y'all. So Aquarius risings, this is like really, working with your high school students. What do you want to do? What do you, this and that? Like, but this is also the Vedas, ancient knowledge. This is where you or your child could start learning about astrology, gematria, numerology, and talk to you about the mystery schools for the kids. This is the time to learn this stuff. That's why this knowledge is back up. Kids thrive, and when they learn this stuff and can apply it, it makes their life easier and better. So Aquarius risings, this is definitely a powerful time for you. And with Venus and Uranus in the fifth house, this is also violin, flute, piano, maybe suddenly winning the lottery. Now, I think the real big lotteries, I think those are scams and fakes. But yeah, you could do a little scratch off. You got Venus, Uranus there, and God, if Jupiter transits your fifth, you can also have a pregnancy, but you could win some money. But do the scratch off, so scratch off and like, oh wow, I won $80, I won $100. I mean, come on. I think we kind of all know. I think they said it was in the Epstein files that Epstein won the lottery twice. I think that's all you need to know about the lottery. You can't make this stuff up, people. Oh my God. Okay, Pisces risings. Let's go. I know we got some Pisces risings in the house. And so Venus, Uranus in your fourth house of home, your emotional mind, childhood home, adult home, retirement home, your mother's lineage, your mother's ancestors, mom, grandma, great grandma. Venus, Uranus, this could be wanting to redecorate or do some home improvements for Pisces risings. They may suddenly want to, let's say, it could be male or female, start a new relationship or even get a new car, or want to move to like a place where there's more of a garden, but they can also just move. Uranus, now you're going to see, I want you just to put these little nuggets in your head. Usually Virgo, Scorpio risings tend to move away from their birthplace. Usually, because you have Sag and Aquarius in the fourth house. That's about travel and movement. It can also happen if you have fire signs there as well. But specifically, those two rising signs, I see a lot of people move from their hometown no matter what the chart else is saying, just based on that fourth house placement. But, for the Pisces risings, having the Gemini here, Uranus is taking flight. But this could literally you tapping in, and all of a sudden you're talking to your grandma and great grandma. You're getting downloads, you're getting messages. You're seeing, that somewhere in that lineage, people were tapped into esoteric occult knowledge or Irish tea leaves, or, they all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, grandma's got this ancient Ethiopian Bible? I didn't know she had that. Like all these different types of things. Okay. But Venus in the fourth house can also speak to maybe you just remodel. Now, the seventh house is the kitchen. So that could be remodeling the kitchen for Sag risings, but remodeling things in the home, Venus, Uranus, or getting a new car. Okay. Remember, Venus is vehicles. And remember, you guys, good feng shui and positive energy, keep the car as clean as possible. That helps with your relationships and your finances. Just like I think it's, oh, forgive me, I don't want to give wrong information. Southeast corner, I believe, of the home, yellow or white flowers, something like that. Just Google and double check it. But that can be very beneficial for love and relationships too. And your head, when you're sleeping at night, should be to the south is number one best, or the east is number two. If you're sleeping to the north, you're preparing for your grave in the funeral home. And that's the worst. And then the west is second worst. So you want to either sleep to the south, your head, not your feet. Your head should be facing south or east. So you guys, when you get off here, check your beds. And if you got to turn it, turn it. Alana and I, our headboard was to the north. So we were sleeping upside down in the bed. But that's okay, because the minute we did it, and I've had a lot of sleep issues after, coming home from coma and stuff. I will tell you, I almost cried. It was instant. The first night, sleeping with my head to the south, my sleep was so yummy. And then I put castor oil in the belly button. You couldn't tell me nothing. Uh-huh. Okay. So Aries risings. Okay. We got Lewis, Gemini in the third house. Okay. You're talking about Venus, Uranus in the third house of your skills, your self efforts, communication, your siblings, social media. It's really the younger siblings, but it's your neighbors, your neighborhood transportation travel. So maybe Lewis, when you drive it around with the truck, maybe you get a new, better truck or new technology, or just in general, this is affecting and saying with you, you know what? When you're in that truck and you're doing your deliveries, have your crystals and play some meditation music or high vibration, music with you. Maybe you start, sharing some of your knowledge and make videos. I see a lot of guys, driving trucks or whatever. They're making videos for social media as they're driving their trucks. And I love when I see that because I'm like, that's cool. You know what I mean? But like Venus, Uranus in the third house, no matter who you are, this is bringing blessings and favor suddenly around your transportation, your travel, but your communications. Right? This is with your skills, like, hey, I want to learn to play a violin or flute or whatever, So for Aries risings, this is really, just positive about traveling and movement. But maybe you're like, I don't want to, these electric cars. The most I'll do, maybe I'll do a hybrid. Maybe you're like, you know what, let me try my first hybrid. Venus is vehicles. Uranus is, newer technologies, pushing the envelope. But this is where literally, you're reading, writing communications. Maybe you're starting to get into the sound frequencies, alpha, beta, theta, gamma. Maybe when you're driving your truck, you're listening to Love Evolve music, Luis. You know what I mean? Like, there you go. Boom. It's literal Venus, Uranus. But just know that when you're walking, especially Aries risings, you go for a walk in your local community, the downloads are going to pour in. And a lot of them can be in any of the houses because it's conjunct Venus. The downloads can be about your relationships and your finances. Remember, Venus, Gemini is the accidental flirt. The ladies that have it, they're just very social and verbal, and men think they're flirting, but they're not. They're just being friendly.
Me.
Go ahead. What did you say?
That's me.
That's you? Oh, Venus, Gemini.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This happens to women. I've got like multiple women with the clients with that placement. They're just, chatty Cathys and very social and friendly, but men always misinterpret it, and that's what I try to tell women, like, hey, ladies, it's not our fault, it's our conditioning. Usually if a woman is like chatting you up and she's all in your face, it's because she likes you, but not the Venus Gemini lady. She's just being social and friendly. Same thing sometimes with Aquarius Venus. That's just how the women are. And they want you to respect them for their mind, quick wit, and intelligence. Venus, Gemini, and Venus, Aquarius. They don't want you just looking at them, like TNA in your body. They want men to appreciate them for their thoughts, their words, their writing, their intelligence. Okay. So Aries risings, any questions about that, Lewis, or anybody? But it's really, this is, and this can really change your skills and self efforts too, and the way you communicate, listen, 7 years is a long time, but anybody, Melissa, Alana, anybody, Gail that's been through, Uranus and Taurus, especially in the first house or the seventh house, or just wherever you have it, it's stronger in the angular houses. So that's why I was pointing those people out. But you're not going to be, after a Uranus transit, that sign and house, you're not going to be the same. It just shakes it up.
I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, I told you, it got me to become the astrologer and got me sick that made me get to the astrology. I was doing sports radio. I was contemplating getting back to some acting and writing scripts, a little bit of teaching, but full-fledged sports radio, I was going for it. And then I got sick, and the Uranus was like, I pity the fool that don't think he should not get into astrology, right? Work, sixth house, right? Work, daily routine. It changed through my sicknesses and illnesses. It literally changed my work and daily routine. You can't get more literal than that for Scorpio rising. Uranus and Aries sixth house. Bing bong. So, Taurus risings. You're like, oh, it left my ascendant. I'm so happy Uranus can go wherever it wants. But remember, you're if you're being honest with yourself, you're a little less stubborn and there's a little extra like zhuzh and magic about you now, where you may be more open-minded. You may be like, wow, I do see the benefits of connecting and grounding in nature and connecting to Gaia, Mother Earth. Oh, I do really enjoy crystals now. I am more into spirituality. Uranus on the ascendant is not a game. And we'll get to the Gemini rising shortly. But so Taurus risings, you're like, whoa, this can suddenly change my intuition and speech. This may activate, my father or some of my family members starting to realize, like, so what were you saying about meditation again? Oh, didn't you tell me something about crystals? I read an article that they said that they can help you. So family could start like their craniums start awakening and they're starting to ask you questions because you've been blazing the trail. See, one thing we have to remember, you guys, when we're intentional on our purpose and path and just doing it, we don't got to talk about it. We're a living example. People see you. We're all Tupac in a way, right? All eyes on me. Everybody's watching, including, nefarious ones and higher places and whatever. Everybody's watching you. Not in the like, oh, self-centered way, like you're so special, I'm so special, but no, people are watching you. Whether it's a spouse, a niece, a nephew, a parent, a neighbor, a coworker, a boss, somebody, somebody at the bank, the grocery store, people watch how you move. So think about that. Just like WWJD, right? What would Jesus do? Or it should be Y, right? What would Yeshua do? It's the same thing when I joked with Anjani, right? All y'all, WWVD, what would a Virgo do? We should all, have a Virgo friend in our life, a personal, like support and cheerleader. Because the Virgo is going to analyze and assess without emotions and give you that reality and not with anything else, but just like what's going to make it better for you. So that means for the Taurus rising, your speech, when you're talking to people, you're going to have like a decoder. That Uranus, and remember the second house is how you earn money itself. So yeah, you may get into the copper and the jewelry and the crystal. You're like, you know what? I'm going to buy some silver. I see gold's price is too much for me right now, but I'm a rock with some silver and maybe get some copper and some platinum. I'm going to start drinking out of copper cups. I'm going to talk to my plumber and see if we can get the main piping in my house, even if it's just the intro piping. Maybe I'm going to, get it to be copper. That's what the billionaires are doing. All their homes have copper piping. I wonder why. Okay. So, with this second house, Uranus, you can suddenly get these downloads that you communicate out that increase your wealth. Venus. You may suddenly communicate with somebody from your, oh, they used to know your brother and this and that, and you go back to, whatever, and the school reunion or just anything, but you wind up connecting with someone that you grew up around. Venus, Uranus, right? Taurus risings, old love coming back. But it can also be about what you eat. Maybe you're like, you know what? I'm only going to cheat on Fridays and have my little dark chocolate on Venus Day, right? I'm going to Gemini, be open to different consciousness and thoughts and doing parasite cleanses and organic and vegan and more fruits and veggies or, grass finished, grass fed beef and this and that. I'm only going to go get my stuff from farmers markets. I'm going to be brave like Chantel and start growing an amazing garden and be sustainable. I mean, when we all grow up and be big boys and big girls, we all kind of want to rock like Chantel with like having a very plentiful garden. We had one for a little bit, and then like 3, 4 summers ago, the heat was just brutal, and we haven't gotten it back yet. And part of that's on me. I got to get out there and help Alana more with it. Take breaks from working and just like, get in there with the soil and play. She can't do it all by herself. So that's on her. So when I step up and decide that I want to get that garden back, that's when it's going to happen. Okay. So Tauruses, just know that when people are communicating with you, that Uranus is going to give you, like, they may say, oh yeah, I love doing XYZ, and then you're going to hear the truth. Like, I don't really like doing that. It's like the Uranus will give you a decoder. Remember, this is the house of speech. It's going to give you that spiritual decoder of like truth. Uranus is, remember I said, it's your soul breaking the social norms, fracturing the structures, the vanguard, innovative, weird, bizarre, genius, outside the box energy. So even for working, you may want to start like Taurus risings. You'd be like, oh, I'm going to start like a dating app. I want to get connected and start, doing just, I'm going to take Eric's astrology course, or I want to do one-on-one studies with him. And I just want to focus on love and relationships. I want to help couples, right? Taurus risings could be doing that. Venus, Uranus, second house. You earn money through jewelry, through relationship coaching, through whatever. Okay. But this could also be fashion, and just in terms of the values that you have for your survival, you want to get high vibrational clothing. You're going to get EMF stuff. All right. All right. Gemini risings, step to the plate. Now, you got to be thankful that Venus is there, because this changes everything. I mean, this makes it a lot more better for you, Quintella, because the Venus is also speaking to getting the downloads. Crystals they should never be not with you. You go to the work, you go to the grocery store, you go to pick up Chantel, you go here, have a crystal in your purse, your skirt, your pants, your shorts, have a crystal in the car, keep them with you. They're going to become your best friends for the next 7 years. But this is going to activate your throat chakra. You're going to get a lot of downloads of higher consciousness, especially through movement and communication. You're going to tap into the automatic writing. And that would be the same thing for you, Lewis, in the third house, the automatic writing, right? Start writing with your opposite, your less dominant hand, right? With Venus and Uranus on the ascendant, it also, on a higher level, wants you to focus on the self-love. Any relationship and anything that's going to come is going to come with loving Quintella first, loving your Gemini rising and your outer mass, your physical appearance first. Now, you may want to color your hair. You may want to get, like 4 or 5 piercings on the ears. You may want to get a neck tattoo. I mean, you may like change up stuff. You may like, you know what? I'm going to put my Pisces moon tattoo right here on my neck. I mean, I don't know, Quintella, what Venus Uranus is going to do, but I'm here for the ride. I can't wait to see. But just remember, Venus and Gemini also, you guys, can get into a lot of creative writing. This could be writing the romance novel, writing the spiritual sci-fi, the fantasy story. This is really nice. Or it could be getting into music production. All of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I'm finding that I'm like Marcy. I want to just start producing tracks and making beats, and like, oh my God, I'm getting into frequencies. I'm getting into the, megahertz. I'm getting into alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma. And I'm still gonna email you that thing that we talked about, Quintella. My bad, I was just so crazy this week. But
Okay.
but you may want to start to like meditate more with like high vibrational frequencies. You may want to but the main thing is, I think of this too, is getting those EMF jewelries, the obsidian, the moldavite, the bigger crystals that are really protecting. I tell you guys all the time, I unplug my internet at night. I don't want those frequencies coming in my cranium while I'm sleeping. That may mess up how I spit off the dome, getting those frequencies attacking me in my home. Okay, that's not happening. So Venus, Uranus, and Gemini on the ascendant, there can be a lot of downloads about relationships and money. You may see your future husband. You may see new ways of how you earn money. You may be like, you know what? I'm gonna do spiritual readings and bring in the astrology and cardology. I mean, what one thing that you're gonna know is that you and your aura are going to be on a different vibration and frequency. So you have to embrace that as best you can. I look at like, I wish that obviously it got me where I needed to be, but I wish that I knew the astrology before I went through the Uranus opposition because I could have moved a little differently. Do you know what I mean? Like this knowledge is golden. So take it literally. Try things, play things. Uranus is unexpected events, it's sudden events, unpredictable. But as long as with this masculine mutant that you initiate with adaptability and flexibility, that's your golden goose, you know? But just know you're going to resonate and vibrate differently. People are going to be like, "Oh, who's that?" And Venus on the ascendant, they're gonna be like, "Oh, who's that?" So Quintella may be booed up by like 2028. So, you
Oh
know,
no, that's too soon.
oh, that's too soon.
I
I'm
need
sorry.
about 7 years.
Okay. Oh, you need the wait, you need the full transit?
The full trans.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
But it's funny because in my numerology, I think it was about 2030. That'll be my one personal year. It was some other stuff going on too.
Okay. Yeah,
And it kind of around that time, I'm like, oh man, it could be relationship time. But right now, I really like the journey I'm on of knowing me
that's
and
good.
getting to know me better.
Oh,
But when Uranus went into Gemini the first round, that's when I cut my hair.
yes, I was
And
gonna
so,
ask.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so
See?
now I have been wanting to color it, but I don't want to use chemicals. So I want to try to figure out how to use
Oh, you
food.
can definitely do natural. Just do the research, yeah. But you'll be able to achieve that. Yeah. Yeah.
And
There's
I
some.
did want to talk about because we've been talking about the Uranus opposition for a while, and I didn't realize that I have Venus in the seventh house as well. So it's my Uranus and Venus opposition.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's and that really speaks to, like I said, right? The love can only come when the self-love is solid and tight. And it's almost like an interdimensional self-love. Love your higher self, love your ancestors, love your 3D physical avatar body, love it all. And so there's that magic of getting into the mirror. And we don't have to yell, we speak, whatever. But remember, your self in other dimensions can mirror back what you're trying to manifest. When you think of it that way, you're like, oh wow, that's why that stuff could work. Like that's really powerful. So this is, on the for Gemini risings on the ascendant, it's very important to really open up the throat chakras. Um, and, the Venus is more connected, with the Libra, it's the black tourmaline. With the Taurus, it's the blue crystals, the lapis lazuli, stuff like that. But, that really, can help with that. But your aura, you're going to just vibrate differently. People start looking at you and for various different reasons, but you know what I mean? You're going to have this weird dynamic inner beauty glow that comes out. So, just be ready. You'll see. I won't have to say too much. You'll be telling us,
Yeah, I got
reporting back
tested.
to
I
us.
was getting tested when it went the first time, and I could read and hear people. Like some people, it wasn't their intentions wasn't good. Like if I walked into a room and they were staring, and
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah,
could
no,
just
no.
feel that it wasn't good.
No,
And
no. And
then
sometimes it
others
won't
were
be.
just like
Yeah.
interested, like, who is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
But always remember the Uranus will reveal, the higher thoughts and higher consciousness. So you'll be able to move accordingly with the relationships. And as long as the self-worth and self-love is tight, the bad stuff is not going to really hit you. But it's going to activate as you're ready in the 7-year transit, that seventh house with the Uranus and Venus opposition. But see, it's stronger, you guys. Just to give you an example, it's going to be stronger for Quintella because she's going through that opposition, the midlife crisis, whether it's 40 to 47, 41 to 48, 42 to 49, compared to, let's say, my 26-year-old son, who's going to have it on his ascendant, right? And hopefully he wakes up and stop being bad to mommy and daddy, right? But you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be different because it's not the opposition, but it's still, 26 to 33 years old. It's still, or 32, 33 years old. It's going to be a shift. Okay.
Yeah, and I started learning astrology while I'm coming out of the Taurus part of it. So
Mhm.
like Quintella, you're coming into what was in starting 7 years ago, and mine is in the seventh house as well with
Oh yeah.
Venus.
Oh, wow.
And you've had sudden relationship start
Wow,
and
that's
sudden breakups, right?
interesting.
Absolutely profound. Through this, I have nailed recovery and drug addiction. On the other side of this, I have self-worth. I've tackled generational um, partners that are emotionally unavailable, to finding my own self-worth and my own voice, like on the other side of this, to career wise in the 3D world, I call it, like finding my purpose in work has just started in the past 5 days. Uncover what the 3D impact I'm supposed to be doing in the world, which is nothing that I ever thought I would be doing, but I will be making a shift of toxicity in the construction industry nationally to a healthy, whole person support for construction workers.
That's great. See,
Wow.
and that's so, but that's what Uranus is all about. It is getting you to a purpose that you couldn't even fathom. Yeah, back in the
But
day,
don't get me wrong,
yeah,
like
it's been
it's
bumpy,
been
right?
rough.
It's been bumpy,
It's
yeah.
pu- it's put me on my knees. I've had heartbreaks that were profound, and I was homeless for a minute. I debt, like, and then getting financially free, all of that. It is like 7 years of, if you're willing to show up, do the work, be real authentic,
Yeah.
take self-reflection and accountability, you are going to soar.
Yep. And that's the benefit of learning about this before you go through it. Whether it's
Thank
in
you for
your
sharing that.
first, yeah, no, thank you. That was beautiful and very inspiring because it's true. You know what I mean? It's really that potent, and that's why I don't underestimate. Because I lived through it. You know what I mean? Like I mean, it got me to what I'm doing today. So I'm in gratitude to Uranus to the umpteenth degree. You know what I mean? And Taurus, and now we got Taurus rising. So Taurus risings, you're like, oof. Um, oh no, we're doing Cancer rising. We already did that. Yeah. Cancer risings, this is in your 12th house. Um, okay. I have this natally, not the Venus, just the Uranus. The dreams, the downloads, the premonitions, things that you dream about becoming real, things in the future. Get the Gemini crystals, put them under your pillow and in the bed next to you. Google that. I don't know Cancer risings what the Gemini crystals are off the top. Get one of each. Please put that in the bed. Start the dream journal. Okay. You could reach out directly to me. I'll give you all the insights and tips. But you want to set these intentions because you're not a victim in the 3D or 5D. Okay. Um, what's really powerful, I think that's just about football, but let me just check to see if there is anybody in the waiting room. But Cancer risings, no, we're good. Cancer risings, you have the Jupiter on the ascendant. Now that's only to June 30th, but it is still part, right? Remember, there's this Jupiter, June 30th. It's still part of this 7 year transit. Even though, and I know this conceptually may be hard to understand, right? It's leaving, going to Leo June 30th. But because when you start an event, like let's just say you were going, Eric, I'm going on vacation. I'm leaving Monday morning at 10 a.m. That's my flight. We could cast the chart for that, and you could be going away for 2 weeks or 3 months. The chart that we cast for the time that you're leaving will show the energy of the duration of that experience. Does that make sense? So even though we know Jupiter will be leaving and going to Leo this summer, right? June 30th, for this transit of 7 years, it's on Cancer rising's ascendant still. So they still have got to be sharing that divine wisdom and knowledge, still increase their emotional intelligence, still be very nurturing and caring and optimistic, sharing their wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies, and getting the downloads and messages from Uranus and Gemini in the 12th house. Gemini is the messenger. Let's not forget that. That's why I was saying, even with Taurus risings, becoming the relationship coach, because you're the messenger about vehicles, fashion, or relationships, and getting the downloads to do so, or the jewelry making, or the crystals. Think of everything with Venus. So this is time to explore things of creativity, even for the Sag risings, the Taurus risings, the Aries risings that you maybe have never even done before. Because the Venus Uranus is this perfect, like all of a sudden, what you create hits differently now, right? I mean, this honestly, as a Scorpio rising, I could read this for God told me to tell you. Yeah, I'm just thinking about doing like a track or two with Marcy on the new album. Well, when I look at it now, Venus, Uranus, Gemini, eighth house, Scorpio rising, maybe I should do 3 or 4 tracks, with messages and voices from the other side, mediumship, eighth house, the portal between the realms, death and rebirth. Do you see how that works? Venus, music, entertainment, Uranus, higher consciousness, eighth house, the fourth, funeral home, mortuary, death and rebirth. So I literally should be like, you know what, Marcy, let's rock with 4 tracks, right? So that's a real world example. So Cancer risings, dream journaling, writing a lot in the bedroom. Still no eating in the bedroom. Venus in the 12th house. We shouldn't do it anyway, but especially with Venus in the 12th house, do not eat in the bedroom because you can overindulge. You'll be next Netflix and chilling, son, you got a stomach ache and all this gas because you just ate 55 bonbons. Right? Don't do it. Okay.
Did you just say that Cancer rising has Venus in the 12th house?
Yes, they will, because Gemini will be the 12th house for Cancer risings. So the Venus Uranus that's over here in the 8th for Scorpio risings, right? I can't switch the dial because that will throw off the chart. So we're just taking each sign and moving it over. So with Cancer risings, this Venus and Uranus and Gemini is in the 12th house. And it's going to affect, and also you can dream about a future partner. You can do investments in foreign lands, get into the Indian and the Chinese markets. You may decide that you want to go on a trip and you're like, I'm going to Costa Rica, and all of a sudden you meet somebody and you're doing a little ayahuasca thing and he's doing this and this and that. And all of a sudden he's like, is your name Jackie Washington? And all of a sudden you connect and you fall in love. And, these things can literally happen. Okay? Because this is foreign lands. It's international travel, import, export, but it's also your hidden talents. Your hidden talents is that you're the messenger, and you may, just like I said about the Sag and Aries and Taurus risings, well, this can get you into therapy. This can get you into being a marriage counselor. This can get you into playing instruments. The hidden talent could be, you wind up making a dating app, or you start, giving dating advice, or, you teach people how to connect to dream books, or maybe you get some of the clairs activated and become a dream interpreter. Uranus in the 12th house, literally, Jackie, Cancer risings, anything can happen. Because Uranus is going to get you to communicating. Gemini is the messenger. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So it's higher thought and consciousness. It connects to Osiris, right? And Uranus is the god of the sky. Saturn, Kronos' father, Jupiter's grandfather in your 12th house. So you're going to get downloads and messages. When I always tell you guys, I dreamt about Alana before I met her. I dreamt about 9/11 before it happened. When I was in relationships, when I was single, I could see my girlfriends when they weren't with me. I didn't say I controlled it. It's just what was being revealed and downloaded to me. And now that I'm an astrologer, I know why. I got Uranus and Libra relationships. Uranus, Libra, 12th house. It's wild how it plays out. And I see all your charts at night when I'm sleeping. I mean, like it's Uranus is fun in the 12th house. So Cancer risings this 7 years, like the downloads for your dreams are going to be plentiful. Does that make sense, Jackie?
Yes, I call them upgrades.
Yes, I love that, Jackie. Yes, you're right. They're uploads and upgrades. I love that. You're gonna make me change my verbiage, Jackie. I like that. You're right. And they really are. You're very right on that. So, Leo, you got the moon on the ascendant at the 29th degree. So there's a lot of emotions. Leos have got to remember Leo risings, they like the spotlight and attention, right? Look at El Presidente. He's a Leo rising. But just in general, they're dynamic, dramatic, charismatic, and then having the moon on the ascendant, it's written all over your face at the 29th degree, and it's trining the galactic center and the Chiron, and so this is a good opportunity with this in the 11th house, healing the childhood wounds from daddy's teachings. The 11th house is your father's sibling. So maybe dad could be gone, or maybe your aunt and uncle will be like, yeah, dad wasn't so great, but we got your back. Maybe your older sibling. But what's powerful with Venus, Uranus in 11th house, this can suddenly have you connect with people in high places. This is extreme wealth, hopes, dreams, wishes. Now, be careful. I haven't mentioned it in the other houses, but I think it's more apropos in this house. 11th house is your ankle, calf, shin, and Achilles. So you just got to be careful with suddenly injuring that, since Uranus is connected to those body parts as well. So it's like double entendre, W, right? But Venus, Uranus is how you can network with groups, organizations, the internet, right? Your social network, your support. This is nonprofit. Maybe you're starting a nonprofit, or maybe over the internet, you are literally doing readings through crystals. Maybe you're doing oracle cards. Maybe you're doing astrology. Maybe you're making esoteric jewelry. I want you guys to know, if you've got these skills, I mean, trust me, I'll help promote it, because to me, um, whether it's making oracle or tarot cards or numerology, astrology, jewelry, this is $1 billion industry that's probably on its way to getting to $1 trillion industry. So there's more than enough money for everybody to eat in the spiritual space. We're heading into the age of Aquarius. We're only going to step into it closer and closer. Uranus will be trining Pluto by probably some point or midpoint in 2027 or end of 2027, right? Pluto's there to 2044, Uranus to 2034. More and more people are going to awaken on the planet. It's not going to go back. There's no going back to 2020. There's no going back to 2012. You're going to start to see more of who are the real NPCs. It's going to become so clear to you. You know what I mean? oh man. Is the divide. And this is where it's hard. We all have family and loved ones, but there's going to be a point where, like, they're not going to listen to you, and you can't afford to go back and grab them. Believe me. You got to let people choose what they're choosing for their soul path in this lifetime. And it may hurt you and break you that the loved ones you have are choosing, to go in this Matrix 15-minute city pit. You can't go there with them. You're not going to appreciate it. You're going to regret it. And that's where you're going to have to be like, what's the old song? I think I got to let them go. It's just another love TKO, right? You got to say goodbye. But that's okay. You always connect to your soul tribe and your family and your ancestors in the spiritual realm. But, we've got to move in ways that we have been moving, and in ways we haven't moved yet. And so for Leo risings, this is with your groups, organizations, older siblings, social network. Maybe you're starting a nonprofit teaching high frequency and vibrational energy and music for children over the internet, Leo risings, right? Maybe you're, Leo rising, and you want to come join the tribe, Or maybe you want to start learning about astrology, cardology, gematria, numerology, soul contracts, you know. I mean, I know a lady, if you guys are interested in it, I can probably get you on her wait list. Her name is Galliana. She was on an episode a few summers ago, but she's like, I don't know, probably 700,000, subscribers on IG now, and I don't care about numbers, but basically though, she's no joke. She does soul contract readings, and this is to the you know, for the tree of life and the cabal and stuff. It's powerful. The soul contracts are, it's up there with the human design, the astrology, the tarot, oracle, it's all the esoteric occult knowledge. But it's a deep reading. And I loved it. So that's just, something that Leo risings can really tap into. Nonprofits. But remember, these are the 10th house is the government, but this is Trump, Vance, Congress, Senate. So Venus, Uranus, you can suddenly have benefits with government officials or organizations, right? I think of Cephas, right? He's not a Leo rising, but like working for the government, right? This Leo risings could have that favor. Okay. But one thing that's important is you have also got to realize you can suddenly have that friend or someone in your social network group that wants to turn friends into lovers. And it could be good and it could not be good. You'd have to look at the transits at the time. The one thing I want to tell all you guys, right? We got a Venus retrograde coming up this year. So it's going to be, I think it's October 3rd and November 13th, and then it will overlap with the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Do not start. You got to close it off, right? I would probably say by October 1st, if you're not booed up, then it's a bit hard no. And then I'd wait till Thanksgiving. Like do not start a new relationship, a new wardrobe, a new car, unless it's a car accident, a new car, new haircut until Venus retrograde is over. You don't get married or start a new relationship during Venus retrograde. It's not going to be what you thought it was. Okay. And it overlaps. And it overlaps with the Mercury retrograde. Go ahead. What were you saying?
You saying that's in October?
Yes, October 3rd to I think it's to the 13th. Yeah, so it's a while. The Mercury retrograde is 3 weeks, but the Venus, I think that's like a full 6 weeks. So that's going to be interesting. So Leo risings, but this is good though for like also suddenly getting a raise or extreme wealth or a promotion. Your long-term investments, that's the 11th house. This is like when you invest in a portfolio and you just keep your money in and you're like, oh, I've got a little Apple stock, I've got this, I've got that, I got Tesla, I got whatever, IBM. Your long-term investments can suddenly go up or suddenly go down. We don't know what's going to happen. Every day is a different twist and turn, but eventually it looks like he's intentionally trying to crash our financial system. And that's where it's headed, right? So we have to get ready for the new system. And the new system is going to be the battle of centralized digital currency, decentralized, right? You hear about the USD stable coin, all these different things. So we're going to have to maneuver in different ways, but I would say definitely try to keep some cash in the cribbo because during the time of the transition, cash will be golden. That $20 bill may be worth 300. Dead up. Okay. And the barter and trade game is going to be real. So have things, right? We're going to be in a solution-based economy. What problems can you solve? Can you help me with my toilet? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with toothpaste and tooth powder and deodorant? Can you help me with the birth chart reading? Can you help me with massage therapy? Can you help me with Reiki? Can you help heal my knee? Can you help heal, can you do that? You know what I mean? It's not going to be, I would say by sometime between this Uranus and Pluto, between 34 and 44, you're not going to have the 9 to 5 like job stuff anymore. Very, very on a lower scale. Few of us will. It's going to be more like, what do you like to do? How do you show up? And I don't know if this means we're dealing with free energy now and they bring back the bells and sound frequencies. They stop, killing off all the inventors. And, we realize that, we could, be healed by this and that. And we got free energy. You know what I mean? It's like a new world is coming, y'all. And it can seem scary, but, we're all tougher than we know and we think, right? You saw an old girl on she's coming back on Tuesday. Come watch the live. She's gonna answer live questions, but come on time because she's got a young daughter, so it's only gonna be like 30, 35 minutes. But Drea from 911 Awakenings, right? She was talking about my higher self, who was like really brave and courageous and wanted to experience the aliens, wanted to experience my father being murdered, my mother being shot, the visual impairment, wanted to experience 40 days in coma. And I'm like, yeah, well, tell my higher self not to be so daring and adventurous. I've been through enough in my life. I want a break. I want easy street for a little bit. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we're all built for this. Y'all are no joke. You know how strong you are? Like, seriously, take a moment, and that's what I'm saying. Just like a new moon, journal next Saturday. Write down who you were. Write down who you are. And maybe write down who you desire to be. And maybe some of the things from the first category make it to the third, and maybe none of them do. And maybe who you are now, half of them make it to who you want to be, and maybe all of it switches. But take that time to, when people used to date, when we were saying, oh, so what's your 5-year plan? I used to hate that crap, right? I mean, but, think like, what's your 7-year plan? Like, but really, maybe write that out. Think about it, because there's power in writing, and do it with a pencil, but there's so much power in writing on our words, right? You could do the Nikola Tesla 369, 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times at night to manifest things, you know. But just in the morning in the bed, stay there with your eyes closed with gratitude and say to God, God, show me how good things can be for me today in my life. Try it. Try it for a week. See what happens. I've been doing that lately, and I gotta say it's been kind of magical. So Virgo risings, we got Venus. Then we got some Virgo risings here, if not on the replay. We got Venus, Uranus in the 10th house of your legacy, the jungle, your father, the government, the public image, your reputation. Venus in the 10th house is nice. You stunting on people out in public. Virgo risings, you're communicating, you're making the money through your skills and communications, you're getting random downloads, you're outside and you are just innovating. You're pushing the envelope. You may suddenly get a raise, you may suddenly switch careers or jobs. But with Venus, Uranus, there is favor. Uranus, though, it's going to push you to higher thought, higher consciousness, push you to technology, push you to be the rebel of the black sheep. Uranus is a rebellious planet. Don't think for a second you're not going to ruffle some feathers or toes. 10th house, workplace, work environment. Yeah, you may attract some hate, but the Venus, their hate will come back on them. Their hate's not gonna, the boss would be like, oh no, I love, so and so, like, oh, I love when, Gail comes in, she's a glowing smile, and then the next 3 people are like, no, I can't stand her, I can't stand her. Don't matter, you got the favor, you got Venus Uranus. Your boss is like, oh, she's the best ever. You know what I mean? So just know this chart still got the Virgo South Node in the ascendant. So Virgo risings, you still got to retire from negative self-talk. You still got to take care of the gut health. So that means Venus, Uranus, 10th house. You're not out there from your lunch break just going to grab some fast food, Chick-fil-A, poison crap. You're not getting Burger King and McDonald's, right? You're bringing that fruit salad to work. You're bringing the nuts and the almonds. You're bringing the walnuts. You're bringing high vibrational fruit juices or whatever it is. You're wearing high vibrational clothes to work. And maybe you are getting into something where you have a metaphysical barbershop. People come in there, get their hair cut, They could do toes, nails. You're doing it without the chemicals. You're using organic and natural products, and you got in there high frequency music, and you got somebody doing oracle tarot card readings, maybe astrology. That's Venus, Uranus, 10th house, Gemini, right? Venus is the aesthetic. You're doing their haircuts. And it's like this whole metaphysical barbershop experience. See, I've been giving out free game. I've been giving out at least $1 million business ideas. I just hope people take advantage of them. They just spill out like, blah! Like, I'd like to go to a metaphysical barbershop, wouldn't you? That'd be dope. So, Virgo risings, just remember, retiring from the negative self-talk, increasing the self-love, that self node wants to help you with that. And that's going to be coming up for Leo Sun Moon risings when the south node comes in on July 27th. So any questions before I move on with for the Virgo rising? Or anybody else? Also, Venus in the 10th house, it's just nice because remember, assuming that's where the midheaven is, right? But just in general, that Venus, people are going to see you in that positive light. They're going to want to connect with you. They're going to see your inner beauty, your harmony, your peace, your charm. And the Uranus, it can be on a spiritual realm. You know what I mean? It's not just like the 3D beauty. They're like, wow, like, oh my God, your aura is so bright, more spiritual, hokey stuff, but it could be legit real, you know what I mean? So I just think Virgo risings, having the Venus in the 10th house, Venus, Gemini, these people are outside. They're social, they're everywhere, they know everyone, the connections, and then Jupiter in the 11th house and Cancer, Virgo risings are like doing it, okay? Doing it. And then the Leo moon in the 12th for Virgo risings, whoa. They're tapped in emotionally to the spiritual realm and the dreams. And they've got to share their inner light and spotlight and creativity. So, Libra risings. That's the end of the road. So, let's see.
You did Sag rising already?
Yeah, you were the second one. Remember I asked you? Any questions, your thoughts on that in the 7th house? But you can ask the questions.
No.
Yeah, the Sag rising was the first one I did after Scorpio. That's the 7th house. So that
Oh, okay.
Venus Uranus, this is affecting your kitchen in terms of what you're cooking. It's affecting your relationships. There could suddenly be favor, but remember I was saying the marketplace, this is where you could be making crystals or esoteric or metaphysical jewelry, or even music. But it's also your partners, right? So anybody you're connecting with, you want to have a more high vibrational, authentic connection. That's going to be very important. And usually Sag risings with the Gemini in the 7th house, you need good communication with the partner. When you hit the ball over the net to them, tennis, you want them to hit it back, right? That's the love for Sag rising, that back and forth communication. Gemini 7th house. But remember, with Uranus, you could suddenly fall in love and you could suddenly break up. But it's going to make the house of your connections more authentic. So when you're connecting in the marketplace, when you're connecting in relationships, it's going to be on a higher vibration and frequency, Mama Miss. So it's going to be really nice. It's actually a nice 7-year window to, maybe find that authentic love match. You know what I mean? That's someone that's going to accept you for 110% of just all that you are. Okay.
And you saying that's Venus is in the 7th house now too with
Yeah.
Uranus?
Yeah. Starting on the 25th, this Venus Uranus right here in the 8th, that's going to be in your 7th house of relationships, contracts, negotiations, the kitchen, fame. So you could suddenly get fame for some Venus action you do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
Venus and Gemini.
Yeah, exactly. So communicating about your artistic stuff, communicating about esoteric stuff, right? Gemini is the messenger. Wherever Gemini is, you guys, it's the messenger. What is the message? The message is going to come through the lens of Venus and Uranus. So it's very focused for Gemini risings like Quintella on the self-worth, self-love. and making sure her aura is vibrating on the highest frequency possible. And her aesthetic is, you know what I mean? Like right now, like for Quintella, I wouldn't wear no Lululemon or no, bad clothing with low vibrations because it's going to really affect your aura during this transit. You know what I mean? So this is where it's like you got to be like, hey, piece by piece, I'm getting a little cotton, a little organic cotton. Oh, I got linen bed sheets. And that's the thing. Alana and I have been looking for the linen bed sheets, but some places you got to really check. It's not real linen. So you got to be careful.
Hmm.
Maybe you got to spend the real money and go to linens and things or whatever, but you got to really search. Layer, we got to all read, read the fine print. Okay. So
What body part is that?
say it again.
What body part is that? That seventh house there?
The seventh house is kidneys, fallopian tubes, lower back, and the buttocks. So Venus Uranus definitely, maybe the kidneys, watch out, you know. And this is why we only want to do our sweets on a Friday. No, no real like heavy drugs and alcohol. All the latest research, it's not just affecting kidneys and liver. Alcohol shrinks the brain. It is what it is. I didn't make it up. So let me get to the Libra rising. Libra rising, as we are closing out Libra risings, this is all in your ninth house. So what's beautiful is that Venus, Uranus, ninth house, the 7 years, you may be traveling a lot, Libra risings. There could be a lot about international lovers, going on vacations and finding love. But honestly, in this 7 years, Libra risings, you got a book to write and publish, and it's going to thrive. It's going to excel. You got a message from your childhood or from your spiritual beliefs, your philosophies, your education, your journey. You've got a message to share that can greatly affect the world. That think of the Uranus as like taking what you create, going viral, right? That can happen with Leo risings, Venus, Uranus, 11th house, Aries risings, Venus, Uranus, third house, right? It's like going viral. There's a lot of favor. You could actually, Libra risings, they may want to move abroad or at least 50 miles or further away from their birthplace. And the one thing I would say is that for Libra risings, this is where there could be benefits of continuing your education, going back to school. You may decide, you know what, I used to be Catholic, I just got to put that down. I'm more spiritual now. Oh, I was, born again Christian or Baptist, non-denominational. Well, now I'm just kind of really following Yeshua and I'm just more spiritual now. Oh, I used to be Hindu or Buddhist, or I was, Jewish or Muslim, but now I'm just more spiritual. Uranus is going to, for your wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies. Now, also, this can connect you to suddenly meeting your guru or shaman. You may, do something and get on a spiritual retreat or just be like, you know what, blah, 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 or become the guru shaman. Okay. But I really like this for the book. This is a 7-year window. Venus, Uranus, there's just favor. But this is also what you're going to be eating a lot of food from foreign lands. The Libra risings will be the cultural foodies. They're like, ooh, I want some Ethiopian. I want some Thai food. I want some this. I want a little. I want, Vietnamese food, all that stuff, making me miss New York, with all the good foods. But that's something that Libra risings can literally experience. But there's definitely a message that needs to be dispensed, okay? And they'll be well received because there's Jupiter's in the 10th house, okay? So, and this could also be writing the book about whether you're a female or a male, right? That bond with your father. Ninth house is your father's teachings. Maybe dad taught you the wrong things, or what he did not teach you, maybe you learned to do the opposite. But there's some sort of writing or journaling or book that can, get into all those areas, right? But this can also get you into art history. Maybe you start doing these exposés and start painting like Van Gogh or Picasso or Dali or whatever, but this is definitely more of an international and multicultural flavor and a change of your beliefs. You can get downloads. I mean, maybe Libra risings become like these guru shaman prophets and start their own religion, right? Of naturalism or naturism or, I don't know. I mean, I never put any limits on Uranus because, you guys, I just stress it because being ready for it is such an extra gift. Like I said, I wish I learned it, but it was rough. I was literally sick from 2013 and probably didn't start to feel a little bit better till 2018. And, it created 1, 2, 3, 4. It created 5 surgeries for me. And it was just a lot of body aches, pains. It was rough. And so I'm not saying that it wouldn't have happened, but I'm just saying if I had that knowledge prior, I would have already been on that path of becoming the astrologer. And then maybe Uranus would have been like, all right, we're not going to make you that sick. Maybe we'll just, send people your way like we did to open you up to connect to the astrology, to be on your soul's true path. But that's what's going to happen for all of us. And so that's what I really wanted to stress today. But I think it's inspiring because just like in this original chart of the Scorpio rising, Venus, Uranus conjunction, and they're trining Pluto, it's a transformative energy and experience. And on a soul level, it's to align you on your soul's highest purpose. And that's going to be powerful. As long as Pluto is in Aquarius, I'm going to preach the parasite cleanses, you guys. Disease in the body, every science journal and research is showing everything is coming through parasites. Even lupus, MS, cancers, it's all parasites. And it's actually on the CDC website, even though the hospitals don't admit to the parasites. It's on the CDC website now. They talk about 1/3 of Americans are filled with parasites. And it's probably everybody, not 1/3, okay? So, do the research, the wormwood, mugwort, black seed oil, oregano oil, whatever the mixture, get them all in there. Do the protocol, whether it's, I think it's sometimes some of them are like 2 weeks on and you take a break and then you got to come back because you got to, sweep out the children, you know what I mean? The eggs and all of it, but just do it. And I've only done one so far and it was beneficial, but I've had a lot of stuff come out with when I'm doing my fast. But this is that time, intermittent fasting, doing different fasts for cleansing and purification. Right, I think in the Bible, they've taken it out of some Bibles, but it was, I think, Matthew 11:4, 11:6, somewhere in there. Prayer and fast was, deeper way to connect to the kingdom of God, So just really experience this transit the way that your soul needs to, not the 3D version of yourself. All right, have a good one, you guys.
All
See you later.
right.
Good teller.
Good one,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye, everybody. Have a good
Bye,
day.
Gail. Thank you, Mama Miss. Everybody, bye.
Love y'all.
Love you
I
guys.
love you.
Bye.
Love
Love
you
you too. Bye.